new year. As you can see, Kevin is on, and he's going to bring us and set the table for our discussion.
Hey everyone, happy new year to you all. Hope you guys are having a great start to this new year. If so, awesome. If not, then this may be the video for you, because Randall and myself, we're going to talk about getting through this new year, starting this new year off in the right way. Obviously, it's very important to have people around you. If you do, again, great. If not, then let us do that for you. So, Randall, we're going to start off with a question that people emailed to us at the email address. And if you watching right now live have any questions, email us at divorcestruggle@yahoo.com, or you can write in the comments section and we'll read your question from there. But the question, Randall, that we were sent, it was basically someone that's been through divorce this year. Separation happened, divorce just got finalized in December, and now he's concerned because he feels that 2022 is just going to be another crapshoot. So we just want to give him advice. Do you want to take it away?
That's great. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you like our high-tech setup, but I think it works fine. I think the first thing is, Kevin, somebody's got to want to make the change and be open and willing to do that. If you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, you'll keep getting the same results. So you have to be open. I'd say probably 50% of the people who contact us, I don't think they're open to change. And I think that's an issue. And usually they don't last long because we're into substantial change. And the things we ask for when we do our training with people is to be open to that, empty your cup. So what does that mean? It means look at your life and acknowledge, hey, some of this hasn't worked. What can I do now to make the next steps towards getting the life I want? Okay. And if you divide that up, to me, that's the physical, spiritual, and help me out here. What would the third? For me, it's the financial. So it's a physical, spiritual, financial. And the financial is pretty self-explanatory. It's tough to do things when you're stressed out. And that's a big point. We could do a whole show on that where the finances are encumbering you because you have to pay for child support or the wife and everything. But it's the same thing where your attitude is moving forward with each step. Within the financial, do one thing in the day to progress the ball. The spiritual, do one thing in the day to progress the ball. And the physical, progress the ball. Now, look, man, we've worked with clients who are killer physique and they have no issues in the physical, but the financial might be an issue or the spiritual might be an issue, the support mechanism. So it's up to you to make a list anywhere from 3 to 300 things within each one of those categories, those buckets, and pick one or two. So I think I'm going to kick it over to you because you're excellent with this division of responsibility thing within those realms we're talking about. But what I would say is the first thing is in your life, what do you feel are the areas that you want to solidify? I choose those, but you might say spiritual, fitness, and study or growth in school, or I don't know what it is. List 12, 15 things in each of those categories, pick one of those, and make sure you touch base with that each day. It could be as much as doing 5 push-ups, balancing your checkbook, and whatever. Drip, drip, drip. Slow, steady. Don't look to, as you know, it's a New Year's, you go to the gym or yoga studio, it's packed. But go back there in February, mid-February, most of the people have dropped out. Okay. What are your thoughts, Kev?
I think I'm going to go on a slightly different route. I think the having the divisions of different categories, financial, spiritual, emotional, whatever the three that people want to choose are, I think that's really important just to kind of stay sane. You know, I think that's really important to have those groupings just to make sure that you're still doing what you need to do, right? Like the things that you've listed up there, financial, spiritual, those are huge things that you always have to keep looking at. When we're talking here, I'm looking back about when I went through it, the things that I learned. I learned to cook. I never cooked before.
Mm-hmm.
That was a new thing that I learned. I never used to read. I could read, but I just found it boring. Now I've read, a whole bunch of books, whether it's self-improvement books or good fiction books, whatever it is. So reading is another one. I never used to do yoga before. Now I do quite a bit of yoga. But they kind of go back to what you said at the start about getting out of your comfort zone, trying new things. Because as you touched on earlier, clearly what you've been doing before wasn't working entirely well. And it's about just trying new things as well. And I think, what about you? Did you try any new things when you went through your stuff?
It's a great question. I would say I returned to things that were important to me. And by trying new things within the realm of that, I've told a story where I drove by a CrossFit studio and I looked in the mirror and I looked terrible, pale, fat, or, terrible. So I went in there and started to get back into fitness. So within the fitness world, CrossFit, yoga, more so, I would say the biggest thing is mindset. When you thread all these together, it's taking on a mindset of moving from the victim to controlling your own life. And I think that's the biggest litmus test, right? When you talk to somebody and you sense they've moved on from the victim mentality, because it's easy to bitch and moan about the other person, right? Um, so
And I
much so
think,
that.
yeah, I think that's important. And a practical way I feel to get out of the victim mindset. And I was thinking about this earlier because I read through my journal and I was looking through notes that I made last January about the previous year, and that was a rough year. But what I did was I wrote down everything that went wrong, and I made sure that before I went to the next thing, I wrote down something that went right. Now, if someone's been through a separation and divorce in
Yeah.
2021, then writing down something that went well, such as I paid off my car payments, or I learned a bit of yoga. It's not going to compare to the devastation of separation, divorce, but just writing something down that was a little positive can be that shift in mindset, or it can lead to that shift in mindset when you read back on those notes months later. So I think that's important as well, just to write down things that did go well in that troublesome year.
Yeah, I would add to that. That's a great segue. I have a gratitude journal, right? So I write three things in the morning, three things at night that I'm grateful for. Okay. It could be I'm grateful to be warm in my house. In the Northeast, it's freezing right now outside. I'm so grateful to have time and resources with a gym and a trainer. I'm grateful to have a healthy kid. My son's health, it could be anything. I'm grateful that new job came through, but it gets you in the mindset of looking for things to be grateful. Now, this segues into a very important thing. I think this is very important. If you have to decide for yourself, but the idea of routines, particularly in the morning. Now, routine, you already have a routine. You go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you think to yourself the day is going to be whatever, feed the dogs or what have you, but you want to have some time within your routine, which can literally be a minute or an hour. My friend does a 2-hour morning routine. He gets up at 4 a.m. or something. So it runs a gamut. But the thing I love the famous acting teacher, I think Uta Hagen said, the thing about having a point of view on your character in an acting scene is to have one. So the point of a routine is to have one that to have a, let's call it a positive routine. The point of a positive routine is to actually have one. You mean I got to get up and blah, blah, blah. No, no. Get up. What's the first thing you think to yourself when you get out of bed? You can put that out there. You can journal. You can brush your teeth with your left hand. You can stand on a foot and put your pants on one leg at a time while you're balancing, all the way to doing morning meditation and going to town, which I'd love to talk to you more about. But Kevin, that's important, I think, because it gives you a sense of control. Some of you guys, when you write us, your compass is, trust me, that morning routine is going to give you an anchor to hold on to, whether it's meditation, a couple push-ups, or what have you. Kevin?
Yeah, and I've heard you give that advice to some of our clients before, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, putting your pants on in a different way, and that also leads to hopefully a mentality that change is good. Because a lot of these people come to us and they say, "Oh, well, I want to make a change, but I like what I'm doing right now." You can still continue doing what you're doing what you've been doing for years and years. That's okay, but the importance of just adding something different in there can show you that change is possible. We've actually got a few.
Yeah, can I jump in? So Joni, I just made you a moderator. I don't know how I did that, but whoever's writing, I can't see these things come on the screen and off. So if you put a comment in and I don't respond, that's because I don't know where the hell it is. And if you're I think you're the moderator now. Kevin, can you control anything? Or
I don't think I can from my side, but I have seen a comment from Joni,
all
and I know we've got a couple of other watchers on there. So for those of
right.
you watching, guys and ladies, we are talking about the new year, how to get through this new year basically better than last year, especially if you just went through a separation and divorce last year. That would have sucked. We've been through it. So how do you make this year a little bit better? Okay, so that's what we're talking about right now. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section, or you can drop us an email at divorcejourney@yahoo.com.
Yeah, can you see the comments?
I can see the comments.
All right, listen, guys, you got to put some comments in there because I know what I'm talking about, but I want to help you. So talk to us. It really helps. Now I'm trying to formulate. So I'm just going to go with it until you guys comment. So the morning routine, what's going on? She just told you that she's out. Your self-esteem sucks. You're scared. You're upset when you think about the future. You could be either out of shape or totally poured yourself into work or fitness and everything. You could be out drinking every night. What are the keys to keep you balanced? And we're here, Kevin and I are here to strive. When we work with clients, obviously they're spinning and everything. We get them on dry land, but the point is to live your best life and kick some ass in your life. We're not just here to do CPR. We're here to get you solid and then build up. Particularly if you have kids, you got to get your S together because they're looking to you and that's your responsibility. So, the phases, Kevin, would you say there's certain phases, 3 to 4, that are the most important when people jump on the train to get out of this morass?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, when you first find out that news that she's leaving you or he's leaving you, I think the first stage is just to have compassion for yourself. I
Yeah.
know a lot of the watchers on the videos, they kind of feel, okay, got to strive. It's true, but you first got to look after yourself. That's first and foremost. If that means you just want to have a slump for a few days or a couple of weeks, that's okay. During that time, I think it's super important to build a foundation of people around you, whether that's Randa or myself, whether that's certain family members, certain friends, um, whether that's friends from your childhood or friends, that you and your partner had as a couple, whatever it is. But you have to have some people involved that can help you through it. That's, I think, the first stage. Then the second one is where you're just kind of getting to level ground. Because right now you're down deep, right? You're screwed. This next stage is about just getting back to level ground and okay, you know what? I'm still struggling here, but I'm okay. I think this is going to be okay now. And then the third stage to me is when you're just gradually increasing. You don't go from middle ground to perfect or feeling great. It's a slow, gradual increase, and that's what we work with some of our clients. Is just that slow increase from being okay to being really in a place where you can start to move on with your life again.
Yeah, and I would add to the first part. Those are excellent. I'd add to the first part. You know, it's always good to have a friend who listens to you and you can express things too, but you want people around you that will empower you and be there to focus on your best self. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't times you need that friend to bitch and moan to about that person and outlet, but you want empowered people like a coach like sensibility when you're moving through these stages. So stage one had, the first part of stage one, I remember I told this story. I'm like doing jello shots at the show I went to just to lay it out. Okay. So you have do that weekend thing, get it out of your system. But if people are just bitching and moaning back and forth, hitting the ball back and forth, that's going to slow your growth. You want people that are like, hey man, rough time. What's now? What's next? I'm here for you. You don't need a drill instructor like get off your couch, but you need like, look, man, we got this. Come on, let's go to the gym. Let's go for a bike ride. Don't get to, we've had clients who get stuck in that misery index and it's tough to get out of and you don't want to be there long. It'll happen because it's a tough thing. And then you start moving up through those stages, getting physically in shape, getting back to things that inspired you. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, in regards to who do you choose to be, your confidant? Who do you choose to be that motivational friend to get you out of this slump that you're going through? And that's an important decision because you may think that it's my friend so and so. It may not be. Your friend Steve or whatever his name may be great at doing certain things, but they may not know how to deal with what you're going through. So it's important to pick the right person. To me, I always received similar advice from different people, but the one that it really hit home was someone that's already been through it himself. I saw that as having more substance to hearing this advice from him because he'd been through it before. That's just a little something to add to that.
Yeah. And also, a good coach or friend or whatever, they have you look at things differently. But I really think everything's inside us already. And sometimes we're just asking for permission to access that. And that's really what you're looking for is empowering support. Get clear on what it is you want, what kind of person you want to be as, even more so than I want a big house on the hill and finally have a friend. We've had clients who go automatically into dating. Um, and I think that's good. You can get that. I think that's fine, but are you going in there to run away from something or run to it? I think there's something to be said for taking a little time, regaging yourself. Remember, you're in charge of your own inner world. When you're relying on people on the outside, things get messy. We're human. Obviously, you want to be with somebody supportive, have a great experience, but ultimately, you're the arbiter, you're the guardian of what goes on in here. I know you're shaking your head like I get that, but do you get that? You're in charge of what goes on in here, and your work is to delve into that and set up your life in such a way that it promotes that, it structures that, it motivates you to take that responsibility on. Kevin?
Yeah, we just got a comment from Joni here. Your channel is one of the first channels I look at. Your perspective got me on the road to recovery. So thank you, Joni, for that. We'd love some more information from you, Bo. Like when you say got me on the road to recovery, does that mean you feel in a good place? Because you're here. You're joining this pool for a reason. So keep with this pool. Ask us questions. What's your top question now? What are you struggling most with now as you go into this new year? So we appreciate the comment, but we definitely want to hear more in regards to what you're going through. You don't have to give personal information, but ask us a question in regards to how to get out of this. Because Rand, I think that's where we should go right now. Is in regards to this being a new year,
Yeah.
what is like a couple of top tips to give to people to get through it? From me, it's getting a journal and not to write resolutions down, but just write about some things that you do or think and the mindsets that you want to change. Okay, so for me, when I was looking for a new relationship post divorce, I hadn't done the work on myself, so I was really chasing. I was chasing the relationships, and I'd be really upset when they didn't happen for me. Okay, because I hadn't done the work on myself just yet. So I wrote this little quote down, a little mantra in regards to dating and relationships, and it read something along the lines of, don't feel so compelled to make a relationship happen. Do my part, but realize that I have a lot of great qualities that I also bring to a relationship. So if the other person is worth it, they will do that part as well. And through the year, sometimes I would read it, once a week. Sometimes I'd read it multiple times a day, because it's all about that mindset shift. It's all about reading it and telling that to yourself. And your mantra could be about relationships. Your mantra could be about working out, whatever it is, write something down. Don't just think of it, because it will just leave your mind straight away. Actually write it down. Get emotional and get internal with your mantras, because that I feel will really help you through the year. Randall, do you have anything? Any tips? And I'm just going to look at Joni's comment here and look at his question or her question.
Yeah. So Joni, I think, mentioned the counselor. That's great, right? They got the support they needed. And I think that's the thing is figure out what you need and take steps to get that. Even if something happens where it doesn't work out, at least you tried a different angle. What you're trying to do is shake things up. For me, an actionable tip would be, I would say, and this is high level, man. Um, this is warrior stuff. I would say, okay, what are three beliefs and or behaviors? Behavior comes out of belief, but what are three beliefs that I need to give up to get to where I want to go? And that feeds into behavior, right? Obviously, if you're drinking too much, that's something you want to give up if you want to choose that route. But think of things you need to give up, because then we're cutting away. We're not trying to add stuff on. You're trying to get back to your center. And it's all this crap we layer on ourselves that blocks us, in my opinion. So if I were in these shoes again, I would think uh, I would put him in a positive spin, right? So I'm going to give up being a lazy bum versus, I'm going to get fit. So for me, I would say give up being a victim. I rebuild that into, instead of being a victim, I'd say I'm going to take responsibility for 100% of my life. I don't want to get into debate with people about what if this happens. We can have another show on that, but take 100% responsibility for my life. I'm going to do um, something that is a bit out of my comfort zone each month, maybe. Okay. Then number three might be um, I'm going to learn a new skill to make me more marketable in my job, something like that. Right. So these are three actionable things. And I put them in positive terms, whereas the marketable skill might come out of you're in the relationship. We hear this all the time. You're not carrying your weight or something in the relationship. And you might look at that and say, okay, I could be a little better in that. But instead of berating myself that I didn't carry my weight, I'm going to get a new skill. That's a good point. And the great litmus test is if you think of that other person or you get a text from her, him, whatever, and they come at you with things, then inside you can acknowledge what they're saying and be okay with it and like, okay, I see what you're saying, or not agree with it. Okay, that's your opinion, I get that. When you're flying off the handle, that's smoke, right? That shows you where you want to dig into, where you're hot.
I think that's cool. And just to touch on what Joni is saying here, um, and I'll just read out her comments that I think are really great. I really found out what I wanted for myself and found out that if I ever looked changing yourself, and then if a breakup happens, you've lost a portion of yourself. So it's great that Joni is finding out here. And she says, don't get me wrong, I did a lot of stuff that was not right in my marriage, but like you said, I'd take responsibility for being the man of my life and the choices I make. We got someone else here, Mailman. Hey man, I want you to know your video saved me in the beginning of my separation.
Mailman.
So, Mailman, thank you from Randall myself on that.
What's Mailman's full name?
I don't think his first name is Mailman, but maybe.
That's cool. I like. Send me a T-shirt with that on it, Mailman. I like that.
Mailman rail fan, as in like train rails. So Mailman rail fan.
Love it.
It rhymes at least. So Mailman, thank you for your comment. And if you have any questions,
well, ask. What would help me is give me 2 things I said that help you, bro, because then I can repeat them and help other people, right? What did I say that helped you? Yeah, so I would go back to what we were talking about. I had a thought. Um, about building your life around people. That's powerful. I think you're right. For me, my when I meet and date and stuff, I'm really into meditation and yoga. You guys watch this stuff. Someone who is into self growth. It doesn't have to be like and eating cardboard and that kind of thing. I'm just talking about who can have those discussions and is a fan of that, who gets it. And there's a humor mixed with a connection, which with an ambition to become closer to ourselves, right? So that's important to me. I think, you know, I've had situations where I've made a list and somebody's matched the list perfectly, but maybe they didn't because it didn't last. You know what I'm saying? So there's a balance between thinking you know what you want and and having your boundaries and having a connection. Does that make sense? Because we all have these lists, and if they actually worked, then why are we here, right? I mean, they didn't work if the person fit them. So I think there has to be both an open, it's a yin yang thing. You got to be open to it and also have your thing. But that's a whole nother show, right? With the dating and stuff.
It's also about what kind of list is this, right? Like, if it's a list that says, someone that treats me with respect, someone that I like to travel. So is it someone likes to travel? Is it someone that appreciates my love for yoga? Whatever it is. See, that's a list which I think is healthy, and there's nothing wrong with it. But then, if people have a list of, their hair has to be a certain color, or they have to have a certain style in their clothing, those kind of things are just asking for what you shouldn't be in a relationship, in my view, if you're looking for someone that has those qualities, because those aren't real life qualities, right? But we see that all the time. Like we used to have a couple of clients before who their main goal was to find someone that looked perfect, just like their ex. And it's like, well, that's clearly not going to work. Focus on the internal qualities in a person, and everything else will be just fine. So this mailman has come back with a couple more comments here. It's been since 2018 since my divorce. Same here. And I'm in a great, healthy relationship now. I have a new baby son just born 3 weeks ago, and I'm happy. Great. Congrats. I think what you're inspired most is that the dreadful period will eventually end. And I listen to your advice to find healthy outlets instead of hitting the bottle.
I love that. Good for you. I have a request for mailman. Can you email us at divorcestrong@yahoo.com? I want to talk to you. Um, I want to do a call with you because there's next level stuff. We're not done yet. And you have a beautiful new relationship, and we want to keep that going. And I want to know where you are right now because I want to fortify that foundation. So, my request is email divorcestrong@yahoo.com, set up a call, and I want to check in with you because I'm inspired by that. But I also want to keep the ball rolling because it's a never ending process, right? It's a process, and that's what you said. So do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kevin.
I'd also say the same to Joni as well. Joni, I love what you said about the counseling thing. I'm a big advocate for therapy. That was one of the things that helped me get through my hard time. So likewise, Joni, email us and we can set up a call with yourself as well. Because like Randall says, there's always different levels that we can take things, right? And if you found these videos helpful at the start, when Randall's just giving, for lack of a better term, generic advice. The advice that we can give to you on a personal level once we find out more about you and your specific situation, that will just take things
It's also
take
good
things
and
to the next
it's
level.
also important to know what is resonating with people by talking to people who are affected, because then we can help more people, like drilling down on that. Because if it's affecting you, it'll affect others. I mean, we have people all over the world, and it's an honor that they feel touched by this and helped by it. And I just want to keep that going. Um, so let's just reset the table, Kevin. Why don't we reset the table and refocus on today so we can provide value for people, especially. I started this channel for people who just were hit by this and needed a friend or some guidance to get out. And I'm sure there were some channels out there. I didn't see it when I was going through it, but nobody was an advocate for self and and for trying to get to the healthier level. It was always like throwing in the towel. It sucks. I don't know. It was disempowering, and that's what I want to do is empower people, even though you're in this rough spot right now in the first part of this.
You know what? I mean, I think when I was going through, I saw a couple of different channels, and I think the difference when you say about people, other channels were kind of like throwing in the towel, and I think it goes back to what I said like halfway through, because they're viewing relationships in the wrong way. They're viewing relationships as the be all and end all, and you need to get a relationship to be happy. I mean, I know someone that she's single and she's not happy being single, and her attitude is, well, once you find someone, then everything's okay. Well, that just defies logic. Because if you have problems in your own personal life, whether it's financial, job wise, career, family problems, friendship problems, those problems don't go away just because you have a partner. It may be a good thing because then you have a support system with your partner, but that doesn't, number one, that doesn't mean your other problems go away. And number two, it goes back to the other thing I said, look for internal qualities in a partner instead of trying to find someone that looks really great. And I think it's a good time to pull back, Randall, because people are coming in and out of the video. But right now we do have more watches than we had throughout the first 30 minutes. So I think it's a good idea here to just give, obviously the opportunity is still there for people to write in the comment section. That goes for the mailman and Journey.
Yeah. So
And
mailman,
you
I think mailman mentioned the writing thing. When you email us, I did something this morning that blew my mind with that free writing. I think you'll find powerful. Just remind me when you email, remind me about the writing and how I next leveled that because it literally blew my mind this morning, Kevin. Yeah, why don't we reset? People are coming in and out. What are we talking about? Let's get to action. And people keep chiming in with comments. Go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe if people also have other tips that they've already done themselves, maybe at the start of a previous year, throw in your comments as well. So, Randall, let's just do this. Let's just say if you were to give one piece of advice for people to do now, like now, tomorrow, to make sure that this year is a recovery, whether it's a recovery year, because you've got to start with recovery before you strive to greatness, let's say. So, what would be the top piece of advice that you would give to people to get through this and to make this year a good year?
Ah, well, that's a pretty tough one. What's their situation? They just had the
Okay, so
bomb
okay,
drop. Yeah.
okay, so let's
What
put that
about
out there.
we got an earlier this morning? We got an email from somebody overseas, right? And Kevin, they were in. they were saying, how do I move beyond the guilt of this going down in flames? That I did something that I could have saved it, but as a person, my character wasn't strong enough to save it. What you want to jump on that one?
Sure, go for it.
Um, all right, so you'll look at those. So guilt is a very strong thing. So what you're talking about is being something you're not, that you weren't accepted. So immediately you assume there's something wrong with you. Now there's a dividing line there. If you were exhibiting behaviors of anger, of drinking, of getting tossed in jail, or things that were um, pretty egregious and you can admit to that, that's one thing. But you want to look at it and say, how could I have been better and learn from it and be stronger, but in a way of self discovery and positivity, as opposed to, I could have been more than this. I've been through that where you're like, I should have done this and this. Um, Now, I'm a little extreme. I'm going to tell a quick story. Maybe I shouldn't tell this, but it's where my mindset is. And you guys know me. I'm a spiritual warrior, man. I don't always get there, but I'll crash into this and do what I can. So we were doing the deposition, and the question of how much blame do you feel for this relationship? And for me, I said 100%. I take 100% responsibility. I could have been a better person, better responsibility in the relationship, better friend, better provider. But it's not what you think. It was me in a positive sense saying, I can do better as a person, and I'm going to use this to grow. All right. I'm not going to go into my backstory. Maybe one day I will a little more, but um, guilt will get you nowhere. But positivity and saying, what can I learn here to get closer to myself and to be more of coherent with who I am. Does that make sense? You want to release that guilt. And that's what we told this person. Kevin?
I obviously agree with what you said on that. I also feel where it's important to make sure the person goes deep with that. Because like it's okay to say, okay, well, don't feel guilt anymore. You may this guy may go to other people and say, hey, I feel really guilty, and other people say, no, don't feel guilt, don't feel guilt. But actually understanding for him, why does he feel guilty? Because that's what will help ensure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Or at least it reduces the chance of it happening again. And that's the key, I think, to getting through it, is just starting off from the inside out. You know, I've seen someone, Dan V, who we've spoken to a couple of times. We did a Zoom call with Dan. He says, when I was dropped the bomb, I started doing push-ups. So clearly he went into the fitness room. But he was always in the fitness room.
Was he, though? Was he always fit, or?
From the video call, I seem to remember he was really into his exercise.
Okay. Yeah. Good man.
So, which is great. But just don't be afraid of trying out different things. That's what I would say. So I would kind of say, if I was to give one piece of advice for this year, is to look back at the previous year and write down, yeah, maybe this lucky year, but write down things that went good. And then I have lists of things that you want to try this year, and things that you may try but you don't really think you're going to. Because I think that's where the challenge lies. And I think the more of those things that you can do, I think the more growth that you will see. The things that you've secretly always wanted to do, but have always kind of shied away from them. I think that's what will lead to growth, Brandon.
Yeah. So I saw Dan said something, and Norman's going off like in another direction, whatever.
Yeah, and that works. You know, if people that are reading Norman's comments, if that works for you, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Do what you need to do. So, Dan, dude, I'm an exercise nut too. I get that, bro. But what I'd like you to do, we know Dan, right? Do we know Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he the mortgage guy from Canada or something?
He is from Canada, and it says here, so I'm heavier in exercise now than I and it helped me through this.
Okay.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
So he always used to exercise, but my point that
Yeah.
I'm trying to get across is don't allow exercise to
Yeah.
hide away what you may need to do.
Jesus. Sorry, Brian, whatever your name is. All right, my chair fell down. Hold on. Dan, listen to me, man, because listen to us. So, wow, my chair keeps falling. So, don't trade one addiction for another one. I love exercise. Keep doing. I'm not saying that, but what I'd like to do from you, Dan, you might be doing this, but bro, I want you to meditate, even 5 minutes. The exercise is great, but we can tend to hide in it too. Okay, especially as you get older. He's not an old guy, but you get into your 40s and 50s, you're going to want to do more of the holistic exercise. Is fine. Keep grinding. You know me, I'm into it, but throw some meditation into that. And right now, everybody watching, I'd love for you just to take a breath in, a full breath, let it populate your body, the back of the ribs, calm, not watch me up, and gently release that. If you could block one nostril, even breathe in. Dan, you should do this. And mailman, you'll love this too. Breathe in gently, hold, and release the other side. Whatever you do, breathe in. Let's do it right now. Breathe in and just release. Watch me. That out breath, Dan, that's where I want you to be. I love that you're grinding, but I want you to yin yang that energy with calm, structured energy as well to intermingle with that. And that goes with the writing too that we talked about earlier, Kevin. So, um, yeah, good man. So, I would say an actionable tip is, especially you guys, because I've talked about this where I would text back and forth and you get all freaking nuts with the back and forth with the person. Before you respond, just take a breath in and release that. It wouldn't be bad to do 3 or 4 of those every hour. Yeah, Norman, you got it. So just in and release. And that's where you live. That's yourself, okay? You can get in touch with that, Kevin.
Yeah, I also, I mean, two things on the exercise thing.
And Dan, you got to email us, man. We need to talk, bro. Let's talk offline.
Yeah.
Divorcestrong@yahoo.com. Go ahead, Kevin.
So two things on the exercise portion, particularly with Dan or anyone else. We don't pick any Dan. Anyone else that's just solely focused on exercise to get through it. Like when I was during my early days of divorce, I would go to the gym, I would go on a treadmill, and I'd be thinking, okay, this is awesome. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I'm smiling to myself. People don't understand why I'm smiling on the treadmill. It didn't matter because it was good for me. But then you get off the treadmill, and you still, those endorphins carry you through the rest of your session, maybe even until the time you drive home. And then you realize, oh, well, wait a minute, that was great while it lasted, but you can't stay on the treadmill all day, or you can't be doing push-ups all day. So at a certain point, it runs out. The other thing on that is that if you get an injury or something, you can't exercise. Well, now what? Your whole getting through this nightmare has been exercise. Well, if you don't have exercise anymore, where do you go?
It's a great point because, and I'm going to get Dan asked a good question. I'm going to get to you, buddy. There's training and perhaps exercise. If we were to define those, training is about every day building. Exercise in kind of gives the impression I'm going to get through it. Training is like you're building a foundation to something. So that's like how I like to do that. For Dan, again, we need to talk to you offline because there's so much to breathing. But personally, I do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and some throughout the day. I'll probably increase that. For you, Dan, again, let's talk in person. But I would start with Googling box breathing, and I would do 5 minutes. If you can do 20, it's great. I kind of your energy feel where I don't know if you'll get to that right away, but focus on doing 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes before bed. All right. And structure those. He's in mortgage, right? Dude, you got the divorce, you have the marriage thing going on, your fitness really into that, and your line of work is like, you got to take time for yourself. I would look up box breathing, and when we talk, you email us at divorcestrong@yahoo.com. Boom, I'll give you some more breathing. But breathing for you is huge, as for all of us. I'd love to do a breathing seminar. We could do a Zoom closed thing. We've done that before, and people got a lot out of it.
I'll also add in for Dan here. I know it's important to do, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. For some that super into exercise, as Randall pointed out, even just 5 minutes may be tough. But Dan has shared here that he struggles with anxiety. So if that's the case, breathing is essential for you, and it can come in anytime you want it to come in. So when you're having an anxious attack, and your mind is going at 100 miles an hour, which again, exercise isn't the greatest thing for. Just taking 2 or 3 deep breaths there and then at that moment of anxiety can really help calm you down.
Right. But more, I think, just as important, Dan, listen to me, man, and people out there who are attuned what he's saying. Training is about building the systems that mitigate those things. Like right now, a great yogi said that they said, Yogi, don't you get angry and anxious and everything? And he said, yes. And his students were all freaking out. Wait, the yogi gets mad? He goes, of course. But it's like writing on water. Let that sink in. It's like writing on water. It's present, but it moves through. And for me, I'm no yogi yet, but all the breathing and meditation work of that, when somebody comes at me with that tone, it does wash through. Not always, but I can feel it. And you want to put those systems in where you have the mindfulness of what Kevin's saying, where you can take those deep breaths, but you want to be in place even before that, where it can just work on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add with Dan is because I remember our call with Dan a few months ago now. Just be aware, Dan, that if you jumped on a call with us again, we would change your mindset on everything. We wouldn't be okay. Let's work out. It would be a completely different.
He's a little stubborn, though. Dan's a little stubborn.
That's okay. That's okay. But you know what? If you're going to be stubborn and then focus on breathing, it's not going to work. So it's all about making those small changes.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, bro. Empty your cup and let's just talk. But when you say your focus, keep doing the fitness and add things in, spicing up. It's a building thing. Um, you'd be surprised. You're going to have changes happen. But for now, look, if you don't reach out to us, whatever, that's fine. Just do me a favor, look up box breathing, start with that, and then let me know how it's going in a few months. Okay, bro? Let's uh let's reset the table, Kevin, just because maybe some new people are on and they have other questions. Did Joni comment or?
Well, Norman just shared a little bit about his personal situation with his kids. Norman, sorry to hear what you're going through with that, buddy. We're here for you.
What's his story? I can't see it.
Sure. So basically, he said his younger kids were taken away by the court system here in Florida. So obviously, he's got a situation there where he can't see his kids.
And is he mentioning God and everything?
That's the same guy.
All right. So Norman, right?
Yeah. Norman.
Okay. We have a couple clients who are in the belief of religion and that kind of thing. And I like working with them because they're very interesting. Because in one sense, I don't want to get into a great religious debate or talk here, but I'm more of a Taoism and that kind of thing. So not in that bend, but with religion, you honor that God, your God. They have put this in your life for a reason. So use that for empower. Don't ask, don't ask, why can't I understand this? Ask, what do I need to understand this? I butchered that. But what I'm saying is, instead of saying, woe is me, why has God done this to me? Yeah, ask why has God bestowed this upon me? What growth is there? Norman, bro, you got kids, You have a situation, you have a belief in God, now's the time to employ that. Now, again, I'm not a theologian, I'm not that religious even, but I am striving to be a spiritual warrior, right? So to me, I would be asking, okay, what is the lesson here? God has bestowed this upon me. And I dare you, Norman, I dare you to say, God, what is this gift you've put in front of me? What is the gift here? Now, I know I just blew your mind and you might be pissed, but if you ask that question, I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. What is this gift before me that's been placed before me?
That's pretty strong stuff. And Norman, like I said, we're here for you. If
Yeah.
you wanted to reach out, we are.
Yeah. Email us. Yeah. divorcestrong@yahoo.com.
Unless there's any other questions from anyone here, in fact, Norman's just commented back here. I understand he's putting me through. I'm guessing he's talking about God here. He's putting me through this trial for a reason. I don't have the answer yet. And you don't have to have the answer yet, but just keep asking the question.
I challenge you, Norman. I think you do, bro. Norman, I think you do know. You know what I'm talking about. Dig, son. Let it out. Let it be messy, right? If God created the world, it was messy, right? All right, so thank you everybody for joining. If you in our remaining time, give me some points. Email us at divorcestrong@yahoo.com. If nothing else, to say hi and tell me how we were helpful. Got a lot of people emailing and reaching out. We were Kevin and I are honored and humbled by that. And we want to keep helping people. Kevin?
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. Thank you to the 3 or 4 people that have been adding into the comment section. We really enjoy when we get comments because the whole purpose of this is to help you people out. You know, Randall and I enjoy talking to each other. We enjoy doing the videos, but the real purpose and benefit of this is helping people out, and it really makes it easier to help when there's actually comments. So Norman just emailed. Is your email in the description? So Norman, the email address is divorcestrong@yahoo.com.
Can you put that in there, Kevin? Or
yeah, I think I can add that in. So, guys, email us. Email us with questions. What's your concern? What are you struggling with? Because generic advice is fantastic. It's not that effective, though. Okay, for us to give real advice, we need to hear from you about your specific situation, such as the information that Norman's provided here. So, Norman, I'm going to put the email address into the chat section right now. And apart from that, I'm going to let Randall check this out.
Yeah, so listen, there's a few more people in here new. What we reviewed here is how to take on the new year. And I think what my takeaway is, get real with yourself, learn, stay positive. And if you can do one thing, I'd say two things is when thoughts come up, you breathe. And if you want to turn that thought positive, do that. But I would say the breathing's huge. And what can you do to improve your life and get support for that? Divorcestrong@yahoo.com. You can reach us. We have a program where we talk to people and have a great conversation and give out some ideas and tips. Sometimes that's the end of it. Sometimes people want to continue, and we have a program where they pay and we serve them and we're there for them. So again, sometimes we talk and that's it. Sometimes we talk, but I don't want to put out anything out there that you're not clear on. Okay. So we have both connection and then other things that are really helpful. And we have created a space that has helped a lot of people. I don't like to say we've helped a lot of people. No, we just ask questions and guide and give some guardrails. I wish to hell there was things like this when I was going through this. So if you're interested in that, reach out, let us know. But most of all, if you take anything away, I guess from my end, Kevin, get some breathing practice going. That's the new thing, right? In the world. If you Google, you can find plenty of stuff. I can suggest some Googling, some breathing, box breathing, transcendental meditation, which is a fancy word for just going in deeper to yourself and settling in. It's not all woo woo. Don't worry about that. Fitness, keep doing that. And yeah. So Norman, we'll talk about all that when you email. We want to be cognizant of people's time and everything. So if anybody doesn't have a pressing question they want to throw out there regarding their situation, we'll give you another minute. Kevin, why don't you, I'm going to hit it back to you. If we don't have any more comments, you can take us out.
Sure. Yeah, Norman, like Randall said, thank you for your additional questions. We can touch on everything on the Zoom call. If you want to have a Zoom call with us. You know what I'd love to do, Randall, is I'd like to get a group together and have Zoom group chats with one group in isolation. And we meet on the first or second or third of every month through 2022. And we talk about how things are going. And we set ourselves new goals and challenges for that month ahead. Because when you track things, like you track finances, right? When you track things, that's when you know change is actually happening. As opposed to just saying, oh, I'm going to make this year a great year. That could mean everything or it could mean nothing. But when you have people holding you accountable each month as we go. So we've mentioned our email address a whole bunch of times. Everyone knows it by now. Everyone that wants to send us an email to us, whether it's for an individual Zoom call or if you're interested in joining a group that's going to hold yourself accountable to change, so you can look back at the end of 22 and realize, wow, I came so far. Send us an email about that, because I think that could be that could revolutionize your whole year.
I agree. That's really powerful. And Dan, I don't know if he's still on, but yeah, when you get an accountability partner, that's powerful. Like, did you do your breathing today? It's not a negative where, God, come on, man, you got to do this. No, but it's good to have somebody. Kevin and I do that for each other. Like, how did the fitness go today? Or what's your goal? They hold your goal, right? So I think that is an excellent idea. So happy New Year to everybody. Make it a great New Year. Reach out to us. We're here for you. Peace.
Take care, guys.